Do you want to instantly add 30 yards or 30 metres to your drive? Of course, who doesn't? Today I'm going to share with you 3 points, and in fact if you stick around till the end of the video I'll share a 4th that's going to help you to get this extra distance with your drives. Now when I say instantly, once you do these things it'll take a little bit of practice, but as soon as you start to get it you will notice an instantaneous improvement in your movement. So let's have a look at what the first of those 3 key things are before I go through the bonus. The first is my body positioning. When I set myself up, my body the center of my body is slightly behind the ball, or actually it's a fair way behind the ball. Now, just as an example to help illustrate that, if I set myself up with my feet close together and the ball sort of forward in my stance, now if I widen my stance a little bit, watch what happens to the center of my body. It moves away from the target. Now I haven't moved my ball position relative to my front foot, but now because my body's center is further back, that's going to help when I swing the club to catch the ball with a very slight ascending blow. In other words, the club is going to be swinging up slightly, which is going to help me to launch the ball into the air. The longer it stays in the air, the further the ball will travel. So that's the first point, is have your stance maybe a little bit wider than what you normally would. Now if I make that really excessive, then all of us, and I do see quite a bit of this, yes, my body's a long way further behind the ball, but now it's going to be, I'm going to have difficulty, one, avoiding hitting the ground behind the ball, and I'm also going to have difficulty turning. I need to retain my balance, I need to allow pressure to shift on my feet, so I need to find this compromise between having my feet close together, which allows me freedom, but I can't shift my pressure very much, having it too far apart, and again, I can't shift pressure very much because, and I'll have plenty of balance and stability, but I won't be able to move that pressure so much. So when I set myself up, if my normal stance width is, let's say, about 35 centimeters between my heels, then it might be, say, about 40 with the driver. So that's the first of the 3 key points. The second of the 3 key points is how I sequence my body and my arms and my club, because that's going to affect swing path. So when I set myself up and go back to the top of the swing, I've got this combination of my body rotating and my arms lifting. And especially from the down the line view, you can see my body's rotating and my arms do lift to get the club up to here. Now, in the downswing, what I want to do is I need to sequence that movement correctly in order to be able to control the path of the club correctly. So when I get to the top of the swing, let's say I do the wrong thing and I start to turn my body and then let my arms swing down. Now the club's going to move across to the left. If I was to do the opposite and start my downswing by letting my arms drop and then letting my body turn, then the club would actually swing the other way. So I've got to find a compromise and allow my body and my arm movement down to sequence together correctly to get the correct path. So in the backswing, I've got this little bit of arm movement, arm lift with my body's rotation. In the downswing, I need to have the feeling that my arm movement slightly precedes my body turn. That's my feeling. My body will actually activate first and my body will move, but I need to have this feeling of my arms falling a little bit. Now the combination of my arms feeling like they're moving vertically and my body rotating will mean that when I do swing the club down and through, my arms are moving on an angled path, which is exactly what I want. The key thing though is avoiding what I demonstrated first, which is that when the club swings down, having my body rotate first, then my arms move down, because that's going to give me the swing path that's most likely to create the slice, which is the most common swing path that we see with these shots. The next point, the key thing is I want to strike the ball in the center of the club face. Now, as soon as my ball misses the club face, it's going to drop off the ball speed very quickly. The further from the center of the club face my strike is, the further that ball speed drops, or the more it drops. And of course, that is going to have a direct correlation to how far the ball goes. So what I've done is drawn a little chalk mark on the back of the ball, so that when I strike the ball, I can see where that contact point is on my club face. Now, once you've played enough golf, you've probably got a pretty good idea of where that contact point is on the club face. Ideally, if it's close to the center, the shot is going to feel fantastic because the club will be really good. So let's see if we can put these three things together, and then I'll give you that final point. And my chalk mark's pretty close to the middle of the club face, which is what I was after. Now the final point is that if you try and swing the club very deliberately and very slowly, it's actually harder to control than swinging it fast. So it sounds obvious that if you want to hit the ball further, you've got to swing the club faster, but most players try and swing the club either too deliberately, and they're trying to make good contact. Now the first three key points, the contact with the center of the club face is the most important of the three. But if you're so fixated on getting that and trying to swing the club slowly in order to get it, you're not going to have enough ball speed to get the ball to go very far anyway. Now, when I say swing the club faster, I'm talking at around about 80% of your maximum club head speed. So if you go all out, then you're going to compromise your movement sequence, your balance, and your ability to control the ball in the center of the club face, or contact that strike in the center of the club face. What you need to do though is, if you're swinging about, say, 80%, it's likely that your balance is going to be pretty good, and it's likely also that the movement's going to sequence well. Now, if you then get the ball struck out of the middle of the club face, you're going to enjoy some really great drives.